She said, "I'm not ready for this level of commitment." After I mentioned moving in together, I said, "I understand completely." Then I made sure she got the independence she wanted. She realized what commitment meant when her credit card got declined for groceries. Hey viewers, we just passed 10,000 subscribers. Huge thanks to everyone who supported the channel. But still, only 16.4% of you are subscribed. So if you're enjoying the content, hit that sub button and help us keep growing. My phone's been quiet for 3 days now, which is exactly how I like it. You know how sometimes you just know a relationship is about to get complicated? That feeling when someone starts acting weird about simple things? That was my girlfriend Sarah 2 months ago when our lease discussion started. We'd been together 18 months. I split time between her place and mine pretty evenly, but her lease was coming up for renewal. Made sense to talk about maybe getting a place together, save money, have more space, the normal progression. Brought it up one Sunday while we were making breakfast. Nothing dramatic, just, "Hey, your lease expires next month, what are you thinking?" Sarah got this look, you know the one, like I just asked her to donate a kidney. Started going on about how she wasn't ready for that level of commitment, how moving in together changes the whole dynamic of a relationship. How she valued her independence and wasn't sure she wanted to give that up yet. Fair enough. People have different timelines for relationship milestones. I told her I understood completely and she should do whatever felt right for her. What I didn't mention was that Sarah's independence was being subsidized by my credit card in ways she'd apparently taken for granted. See, here's the thing about Sarah's fierce independence. Most of her expenses ran through my accounts. Started small 6 months into dating. Sarah's car needed repairs, but her credit card was maxed out. I offered to put it on mine and she could pay me back. Then her dentist bill came up. Then some emergency vet costs for her cat. Each time Sarah would promise to pay me back once she got caught up. Each time I'd tell her not to worry about it because we were together and these things happen. After a while it became routine. Sarah's phone bill went on my family plan because it was cheaper. Groceries usually went on my card when we shopped together. Gas for her car when we were out together. Dinners, entertainment, clothes, shopping trips. Most of the regular expenses that make life comfortable were running through my accounts. Sarah contributed when she could, but I covered the majority without keeping track, because I figured we were building something together. Turns out, we were building her lifestyle while I was building resentment. But I didn't say any of this when she gave her speech about not being ready for commitment. Just nodded and agreed that she should maintain her independence. Monday morning, Sarah renewed her lease for another year. Called me all excited about how she'd gotten a landlord to keep the rent the same, how she was looking forward to another year in her space. I congratulated her on the great news and asked if she'd called to tell her parents yet. Tuesday, I went through my accounts and started making changes. Called my phone company and removed Sarah from my family plan. Effective immediately, she'd need her own phone service. Logged into my credit card accounts and removed Sarah as an authorized user on all of them. Changed the card numbers for good measure, so any stored payment information would stop working. Updated my streaming services, insurance policies, gym membership. Anywhere Sarah was listed as authorized or covered, I removed her access. Wednesday. Sarah texts asking if I want to grab dinner at that place near her apartment. I said sure, and suggested she handle the reservation since she was taking control of her independence. She seemed confused by the phrasing, but made the reservation anyway. Thursday, we went shopping for groceries together like normal. Got to check out, and Sarah hands over her credit card out of habit. It declined. She looked embarrassed and tried again. Still declined. I offered to help, but she said she had cash and covered it herself. Seemed frustrated about her card not working. Friday evening, Sarah calls, sounding stressed. Her phone service got cut off that morning. I don't understand what happened. I thought I was on your family plan. You were. But since you're maintaining your independence, I figured you'd want your own phone service. When did this happen? Tuesday. I called and had you removed so you could set up your own account. You could have warned me. I thought you'd appreciate the independence. Now you have complete control over your phone service. Long pause while she processed this. This feels like you're punishing me for not wanting to move in together. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for, Sarah. Independence. That's not what I meant, and you know it. What did you mean? Because from where I'm sitting, you said you weren't ready for our lives to be intertwined. I meant I wasn't ready to live together, not that I wanted you to cut me off from everything. But having your expenses covered by my accounts is having our lives intertwined. I'm just respecting your boundary about commitment levels. She tried explaining how phone plans and shared expenses were different from living together. How I was taking her words too literally. I told her she was absolutely right about not being ready for commitment. That's why I was helping her experience true independence. You're being ridiculous. I'm being respectful of your clearly stated preferences. Update: 2 weeks later. Sarah's transition to actual independence has been more expensive than she anticipated. First week she had to set up her own phone plan. Turned out individual plans cost way more than the family plan rate she'd been getting. Also had to pay an activation fee and buy a new phone since her old one was tied to my account. Her credit cards had been declined at several places before she figured out I'd removed her as authorized user. Had to rely on cash and her personal cards, which had much lower limits than what she was used to. Started noticing how much of her routine was connected to my accounts. Streaming services, gym membership, even her car insurance had been bundled with mine for better rates. By the second week, Sarah was feeling the financial pressure. Called me asking if we could talk about the phone plan situation. Maybe I could get back on your family plan and pay you my portion directly. That would involve our finances being connected again. I thought you weren't ready for that level of commitment. A phone plan isn't the same as moving in together. It's still financial interdependence. You said you valued your independence. I didn't mean I wanted to be completely cut off from shared expenses. What did you mean, Sarah? I meant I wasn't ready to live in the same apartment, not that I wanted separate everything. But shared expenses are a form of commitment. You said you weren't ready for that level of commitment. The cognitive dissonance was impressive. Sarah wanted the financial benefits of a committed relationship without acknowledging it as commitment. She tried arguing that couples share expenses all the time without living together. How I was being petty and vindictive. I reminded her that she'd chosen independence over interdependence. I was just making sure she got what she wanted. This isn't what I wanted. Then what did you want? I wanted to keep dating without the pressure of moving in together, while I continued subsidizing your lifestyle. You never said it was subsidizing. Because I thought we were building toward something together. You made it clear we're not. She couldn't argue with that logic. Update 2, 1 month later. Sarah's independence education continued as more bills came due. Her car insurance premium tripled when she had to get her own policy. Turned out she'd been getting a multi-vehicle discount on my plan for almost a year. Streaming services added up to about $80 monthly when she had to subscribe individually instead of sharing my accounts. Grocery bills got expensive fast when she couldn't split costs with me anymore. Started shopping at cheaper stores and buying generic brands. The financial reality of actual independence was affecting her social life too. Couldn't afford to go out as much, had to budget carefully for everything. Started declining activities because they were outside her new tighter budget. Meanwhile, I was enjoying having my expenses back under control. Funny how much extra money you have when you're not covering someone else's lifestyle. Sarah noticed the difference pretty quickly. You seem to be doing really well financially lately. Amazing what happens when you only pay for your own expenses. Are you trying to make me feel bad? I'm trying to help you understand what independence actually costs. I never asked you to cut me off from everything. You asked for independence from commitment. This is what that looks like. She finally seemed to grasp that what she'd called independence was actually dependence with extra steps. Last week, Sarah brought up the idea of us finding some middle ground. Said she'd learned a lot about managing expenses independently, but maybe we could share some costs again. I asked what that would look like. Maybe I could get back on your phone plan and we could split groceries again. So, not independence. Interdependence. That's a creative way to say financial support. Couples help each other with expenses. They do, but they also acknowledge when they're being helped. I acknowledge it now. After being forced to acknowledge it by your credit card declining, she got quiet after that. Final update. 6 weeks later, Sarah made one final attempt at getting our financial arrangement back to the old normal. Came over last weekend with a whole presentation about how she'd learned to budget better and appreciated my help more now that she understood its value. Said she was ready to discuss moving in together if that would help us both save money. I told her I appreciated the offer, but I wasn't interested in subsidizing someone who needed 6 weeks of financial independence to realize they weren't financially independent. That's not fair. I'm willing to compromise now. You're willing to compromise now that independence turned out to be expensive. I learned my lesson. You learned that living costs money, Sarah. That's not the same as learning a lesson about relationships. What else do you want me to learn? That commitment isn't something you get to opt out of when it's convenient and opt into when you need help. She tried explaining how she understood now that my financial support was a form of commitment and she was ready to acknowledge that. I told her that acknowledging it after losing it wasn't the same as appreciating it while it was happening. So there's nothing I can do to fix this. You can enjoy the independence you wanted. I don't want independence anymore. You wanted it when it was free. Now you get to experience the real version. Sarah left upset, but I think she finally understood that words have consequences, and independence has costs. My life improved significantly once I stopped funding someone else's theoretical independence. Bank account healthier, expenses under control, stress levels lower. Started dating someone who pays for her own phone plan without calling it independence. Someone who understands that relationships involve shared expenses and acknowledges when she's benefiting from that sharing. The difference is incredible. No more guilt trips about commitment levels. No more taking financial support for granted while demanding independence. Just two people who actually want to build something together. Sarah got exactly what she said she wanted. Independence from commitment. She just didn't realize that independence from commitment meant independence from all the benefits of commitment too. Sometimes the best way to show someone what they're asking for is to give them exactly what they asked for. Sarah wanted independence from interdependence. I made sure she got independence from everything, including my financial support. Turns out, commitment and support are the same thing. Who knew?